What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of GameSlean TV. This is GameSlean TV for March 27th, 2014. Coming up tonight, we've got news of the week as usual, and then later on, we're going to be talking about Bioshock Infinite Burial at Sea, Episode 2. First off, though, have you guys seen that Turtles trailer that came out this week?
Yeah, it looks like crap.
Pretty ridiculous.
I'm so excited. midnight opening. I'm gonna wait in line, camp out probably like a couple weeks beforehand. Oh yeah, I'm gonna dress up.
That anxious about it, huh?
I'm so.
I'll just watch it on Putlocker.
I don't know. So this is the first we've seen of the actual CG Turtles with their updated look now. I remember seeing the images before when like they have the actors in the full suits and it's just them with like what the heck's their name, the girl that's playing April. We're just talking about it's just them with Meg Fox and like the whole get up like and the suits and stuff. But now we actually see like what they're gonna. Look like on the
when I first saw the screenshot, I thought it was like, oh, they're gonna go back how they used to look like in the movies from the '90s. But nope, it's just completely CG, like Transformers. Stupid.
I mean, yeah, no, it's gonna suck.
It's not so bad that they're all CG, but they changed them to the point where they're basically Transformers turtles because they're 12 feet tall.
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah, I mean, they're turtles. What are they? Sea turtles?
Well, they are mutant turtles.
But they're giant mutant turtles. They're bigger than
it's like,
Razor and Tokar.
But it's
was it Tokar?
Yeah, no, that's actually
and
really good.
Tokar and Razor.
They are as big as those.
They're
guys,
huge.
They?
Yeah, but it's like New York.
You're right, actually.
They're in New York. It's like when you.
But then they're in a mountain.
Yeah, well. This is obviously
I'm excited about this because I want to like
this
it.
Post mutation. They're traveling around the world, going on adventures. I don't know.
I want to like it because I want to just give it the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, it's like, oh, you made it Michael Bay. It's like,
it really
looks
totally
like
what they did. Yeah,
it's just gonna be awful.
Which is fine. I mean, he's Michael Bay, but like maybe branch out a little, Michael.
You know,
get away from Megan Fox, maybe.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
Which I thought they hated each other, so I'm surprised.
I don't care if it's Megan Fox, but they should have at least made April a redhead.
Yeah.
Yes.
And why is Joe Bluth in there?
Yeah, that's a problem.
Who's Joe Bluth playing?
Wait, God.
I've silenced.
Oh no! You know who the hell that is?
What's his name in real life, Jeff?
I don't know. I just know him as Gob.
I can't remember his name.
Great. Well, anyways, who knows? Let's get to it. It's time for the news.
On Tuesday, NVIDIA announced the new GeForce GTX Titan Z graphics card. With a potential release for next month, the card will allow for 5K resolution and multi-screen gaming. If this announcement has you on the edge of your seat, start saving your money now because the Titan Z will be retailing at a staggering $3,000. I mean, you can buy a ton of stuff for $3,000, so is it worth it?
No, I definitely went. I would spend $3,000 on this.
I feel like it applies to such a small margin of the gaming and PC using community that I just feel like. I mean,
if you have the loot
crazy.
And you want a top-end PC, that's like top of the line right there. And I feel like you wouldn't need to upgrade it for a long time.
Hopefully.
What's the shit they're saying? Rate for 4K and we're rated for 5K now. What the hell happened to 4K?
Yeah, remember 4K? No one has that yet.
It's just a whole K.
That's how good it is. Yeah, no kidding. It must be.
Definition isn't even 2K technically.
It just sounds like you guys are talking about sports drinks.
Like what games would even support this? Like
I'm
what
gonna
games
have the 4K
have
drink.
the detail in them that would even use the processing power of this card?
Definitely not Metro Last Light.
Well,
Yeah,
nothing yet. But this is for the guys that want, the 5K screen that they can't buy yet, or 3 screens or more with the wide aspect ratio and like surround view and all that.
If you're just gonna do 3 monitors, why don't you just get a Sony Morpheus?
Yeah.
Or is it Morpheus?
No, it's Morpheus.
Oh, the Sony VR thing. Yeah.
The Matrix.
They're bringing
This
back
graphics
that
card-
P2P client. That was awesome.
This graphics card sounds like a Hugh Jackman swordfish type situation.
Probably. This is insane. I think my last upgrade was all inclusive was not $3,000. So if you're gonna burn $3,000 on just the video card,
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
You're mentally retarded.
Earlier this week, social media giant Facebook announced it will be buying Oculus VR, the company that brought you the virtual reality headset Oculus Rift. The deal will be split up as $400 million in cash, while the rest of the funds will equate to about $1.6 billion in Facebook stock, bringing the total to a very serious $2 billion. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has commented on the deal, saying Oculus has the chance to create the most social platform ever and change the way we work, play, and communicate.
So yeah, this was crazy. This one lit the internet on fire this week. Everybody was, going crazy about this one. NeoGAF, all the other forums that I visited. It's like what the hell?
all
Yeah,
going-
well, the
Where
thing
did
is,
this come from?
So
Like,
it was
in
Kickstarter
uproar.
funded. Now all the people that invest in this, it's all going to Facebook
yeah,
now.
super
want
super
refunds.
betrayed.
My whole reaction to the thing is I was reading it and I was like, just going through, looking at articles, and I read it, it didn't register for a second. I looked at it and then I was just like, what? That's probably the most random purchase ever. I guess everyone kind of wants to get in, to some. People are thinking that the VR gaming is the future, of entertainment.
Even a couple years ago, it was the big 3D. It's still big now, but now I feel like it's inevitable. That's gonna be the big thing.
Yeah, maybe. So I could see companies trying to jump on it early, to get the most profit out of it. It just seems like such a random mashup, though, especially where you said, yeah, it was coming from Kickstarter. We had John Carmack behind this thing with, dropping his position at id to work on this. He figured it'd be its own company for gaming. All of a sudden, social networking comes in and
Yeah, but now you can play
$2 billion.
Minecraft in virtual reality.
Nope.
Oh.
Because
or you could-
Notch doesn't want to do that.
Notch
you
told
can
them
play
no
Minecraft.
as soon as they announced that. And that was another thing
Yeah.
that sparked a whole bunch of debate.
creeps them out.
Yeah.
I mean, Facebook has enough money that they could be using this to develop a game, a gaming platform themselves.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah,
I mean, it
It's just
really
a
They're
flash.
just
does.
gonna recreate Second Life.
a lot of people feel that
Yeah.
Facebook is an evil corporation, and what they were trying to do with Oculus and the Rift product before does not really gel with what Facebook has done in the past.
Yep.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what?
I swear to God, Facebook gets in the way of my 3D virtual reality games. I'm going to be very angry.
You're gonna have to be logged into your Facebook account to do anything with it.
Have
So,
one.
no, it's
Yeah, let's all
Yeah,
go
what the-
complain about this on Facebook.
And for our final news item this week, Ubisoft has released a new trailer for Watch Dogs. So let's take a look.
all right, so what are we seeing here? They have hyped
Hopefully
this thing up like you would not believe.
Oh yeah, it's got mega hype going into E3 anyway.
I'd say almost as much hype as freaking Titanfall.
I'd say more.
I just hope
This
it's
has been-
good. They put a 6-month delay on this thing. That's what I'm hoping. Is it gonna live up to this hype?
The thing I saw that is upsetting people is the graphics that they showed. What was it last year at E3? Everyone's saying, oh, they've been dumbed down. They're trying to optimize it, and the graphics aren't as sharp, and they don't look as good as they did before. And that I'm not entirely sure about, but I think I know what some of those people are complaining about.
I mean, it looks like it still looks like a current gen game, sort of. But I mean, what do you expect? We're at the beginning of the new system's life cycles. I mean, we're really not going to get anything crazy at this point.
Yeah.
I would say this looks better than anything current gen, but
I don't. There's a lot of PS3 games now that are really
yeah.
pushing it.
Well, this is going to be on PS3 and
PS4.
yeah, it's going to be
gonna be on
across
both,
platform.
yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
definitely where you can see it's kind of like that transition type game,
There's a
where
lot
it's,
of nothing going on in this thing.
Yeah, this just
Yeah.
reminds me of a GTA game.
Yeah.
I was just gonna
Yeah,
say
it's
that
a
it is a
good
pretty good. It is a pretty large game though, right? And it's open world.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of little details there. That's where for me sets it apart from just a regular
current
current gen game.
yeah. They're really touting it as you can interact with just about anybody and anything in the environment. So, I mean, that in itself is a fairly large accomplishment if they actually do it.
Yeah.
But I like watching that trailer. I'm kind of skeptical that they'll be able to have that level of interaction.
This trailer doesn't show anything though either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's starting to pick up now. Here's
Like,
some action.
You saw more in the original trailer,
So they're gonna blow stuff up, drive around,
but this is all
Hack.
cutscenes. This is
hack
all
stuff, run
cutscenes.
from the cops.
No, well, this is. I mean, it's still in game.
No, that's a cutscene.
No way, dude. That's totally in game.
No, I think that's pretty close. I think that's actual gameplay.
Look, I think Rise looked way better than this game. Like there's a lot going on in the environment.
Are you sure?
I don't know. Look at
dude.
like that whole scene with that car blowing up. There was like a lot going on there.
So, well, if this is gameplay, then yeah, sure. But I don't know.
I don't know.
It does look like Grand Theft Auto to me.
I mean,
better
sort
graphics.
of.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I
everything's going to draw that comparison when you have an open world game. And
No,
there's,
I mean like the faces and like the thing I use as a benchmark is like elbows and knees and necks and things. When you look at the animations of the characters
Yeah.
and stuff, if they bend rather than hinge, then like I don't know. Like I thought there was going to
So
be.
you're
a
looking
lot
for
more.
realistic joints and movement
Yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah. Instead of just these like bendy textures over. I don't know. It doesn't look that impressive to me, unfortunately. The game seemed really cool, but I'm less
I'm-
impressed.
I'll be skeptical until it actually comes out, but it does look pretty good.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, I still want to play it. I mean, I don't know if this trailer really made it any like better or worse for me, but just the idea behind the game and from the actual like gameplay footage I've seen, I'm still looking forward to playing this definitely.
Only 2 more
You look
months.
you look a little bit
Actually,
like
almost
Aiden
there.
Pierce.
So that looked
Exactly.
like just a bunch of new footage, not anything in terms of gameplay, or not anything new for other than what we've already seen. Just some new scenery and stuff. So yeah, it does still look really good though. Okay, guys, our review this week is Bioshock Infinite: Burial at Sea, Episode 2. So here we go. Before we start, if you haven't heard this news yet, guys, Irrational Games is no more. Last month they announced the shutdown of the studio and that Ken is moving on with a skeleton crew to work on smaller downloadable titles.
Who's Ken?
So
Ken Levine.
Ken's the creative director
these
and lead
people.
writer at
Ken
Irrational.
Cummings.
Right.
They're from Boston.
He's very famous.
Not
very
anymore, he
famous.
ain't.
So that's a big deal. That actually gives you a sense of where AAA development is headed these days in the industry.
Yeah, if you
These
screw it up.
Studios cannot sustain these giant budgets anymore.
Yeah,
It's just too expensive and they're-
everything's going to the Oculus Rift now.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Or will be, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, totally.
So I mean, I can go on about how there were rumors about how the project was mismanaged and how they ran into all kinds of difficulty. Bioshock Infinite had one of the longest development cycles of any recent game in memory here. But that's kind of besides the point. I was just going to mention that because that was a big deal, and they made waves with that when, I don't know, where they were just like, all right, yeah, studio's closing down. This game we're going to talk about in a minute here is our last project, and, that's really it. So, if you've been following us, though, Bioshock Infinite was actually the first game we reviewed here on this show. And, obviously, so the studio closing down is really unfortunate. Now, I'm not going to do our usual graphics, gameplay, sound, etc., because this is a DLC, and we already reviewed the first game and the other DLC, Episode 1, to death. So, it looks and sounds about the same, but they did mix up the gameplay a little bit, and they expanded on the plot. So, in this one, you play as Elizabeth. The emphasis is on stealth, since she takes way more damage from enemies, but she's also got a crossbow with tranquilizer bolts, and she's got some sleeping gas bolts. She can use the vents in this one, which you might remember from the first Bioshock game. And this is definitely a new style of play versus the other two. If you played Bioshock 1, 2, or Infinite, usually you just run around in the standard FPS stuff, but in this one, definitely different. So you might remember too, she can pick locks in Bioshock Infinite. So they turn that into a mini game in this one. When you pick the locks, it brings up an exploded view, and then you wait for the pick to move back and forth. It goes across the tumblers, and they got 3 different ones there. There's a neutral one, a noisemaker, and an alarm tumbler. So I think we have footage of this coming up at some point, so I'll try and point that out when it comes up. They introduced a new vigor in this one. They got this new vigor called Peeping Tom, which is pretty much a wall hack, or you can actually use it to turn invisible. There's another one, I think it's called Ironsides. I think it's a new one, but it lets you absorb ammo to enemies that are attacking you. So I want to say overall I like the gameplay. Playing as Elizabeth is different, and it's a nice change versus just running around, like I said, stop and pop and shoot everything in sight. And the vigors I mentioned also have upgrades. I forget them all, but the later upgrades for like Peeping Tom, they let you just sit there, so it's a little bit overpowered. You can just kind of hang out and wait for the enemies to come by and knock them out. I can say about the stealth though, it works okay at first, but towards the end of the game, there were just way too many enemies. I just ran past them. There was no way in hell I had enough ammo or health to take them all on. and actually get past them. So a couple things I didn't like. When you die, they've got these unskippable cutscenes now. And I don't know why they did that, because the first episode of the DLC didn't have that, and neither did Bioshock Infinite. So I don't know what that was about. As the cutscene's playing out, it's usually the Lutesses or maybe Booker is just talking about something, but you can't skip it, and it was definitely a pain in the ass, especially later on. So I don't know why they did that. And my main complaint here with this, and this is really the only reason, here's the lock picking, right? So when you go to do this thing, it brings this up, and then bam, right there, they hit an alarm tumbler. So now when this opens up, now the turret's been activated. So if you hit one of the other ones, the neutral one just does nothing. It opens the door and it picks the lock and doesn't do anything. Or the noisemaker one, which was the blue one, it gives you a bolt that you can actually shoot either at an enemy, or you can shoot it somewhere and it makes a noise and it will actually draw the enemies away from your current position. So there you go, that's the lock picking. Back to what I was saying about my complaints though. The thing I really didn't like about this, the plot and what they did, where they took the story, it was just freaking stupid. This is where I had problems with it. So they attempted to answer a lot of questions and really just lay out how Bioshock 1 and Bioshock Infinite are related. And I think they mostly succeeded with that, but I really didn't like how certain things played out. What it does do, it gives closure to this entire Bioshock series so far, and it reveals more about how much impact Elizabeth actually had on pretty much everything in this entire franchise so far. So I'll give you an example about one of these things I didn't like, and I got to preface this a little bit. If you're familiar with this game, you can tell that Elizabeth was very carefully designed so that she appeals to the average person that they figured was going to play this game. So, as is the case with a lot of things like this, you're going to get the internet dirtbags and miscreants that like to twist things around and ruin them. And Ken Levine actually came out and said, "Hey, could you guys knock that shit off? You're really killing me here."
Yeah, and that just increased the occurrence of internet dirtbags doing that sort of.
Which was the worst thing he could have done.
Terrible idea. Yeah.
That just made him do it more. So, what I'm getting at here is there's a part in this game towards the end where, as Elizabeth, you're playing, and Elizabeth is getting interrogated, and you're just gonna sit there and watch it. And the whole time I was just sitting there thinking, is this really necessary? I couldn't believe they actually did this. So if Ken Levine wants to complain about internet a-holes putting Elizabeth into distasteful situations, and then the last product his studio will ever release ends with her getting her head caved in with a wrench, that seems a little bit contradictory to me. And that was my issue right there. Really, the events at the end of the game, I hated it. So I'll sum up here.
Yeah, you play it.
Spoilers. It doesn't matter.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Trust me, that's not really a spoiler.
That's enough for me.
Like I said, all right, I want to wrap this up here. My problem wasn't with the gameplay. Everything in terms of the gameplay was great. I just really didn't like where they went with the plot. The first one, Burial at Sea, I liked it way more. I thought it was better. But whatever, this is how they ended it. So let's put up the scorecard. There you go. This one's for the fans. So yeah, I'm going to say you probably don't want to have, I don't want to say you don't have anything to do with it, but really you only need to play this if you're really invested in the Bioshock universe and you want to see, the last thing and the last piece of the story here. I didn't like it, but that's just my opinion. I don't know. They do it, like I said, they do answer a lot of questions. It's just I did not like where this went at the end. So there you go.
So let me ask you this, Chris. I was a big fan of Bioshock Infinite, but I haven't played any of the DLC. Should I just leave it at Bioshock Infinite, or do you think that this is something that I should play if I was a fan of the series? Like if I was a big fan of Infinite, am I gonna like this?
You'll like the first one for sure, I think.
Yeah.
It's just the second one, I'm not sure. I didn't like it. And I've seen differing opinions too. I think it's on the second one here, it's a little bit of both. Some people really like what they did, and then other people completely hate it. So I'm in the latter camp. I did not like it. I didn't think it was good. And again, the gameplay, no complaints on the gameplay. The gameplay was great. It's just the plot and where they took the story, no good. Sorry.
I haven't had a chance to play the Burial at Sea DLCs yet, but let me ask you this. Is the second game, is it all stealth with Elizabeth? Is the only gun you're using is the crossbow?
You actually have an option. You don't have to stealth the guys if you don't want to.
Okay.
She has. I think you should have been able to see it in the gameplay, but you can do if you're able to sneak up on the enemies, you can knock them out with the.
Yeah, I saw that on there.
But it's probably preferred that you have to use stealth.
Do they really try to push you in the direction of stealth in this game? Because that seems kind of like a weird transition to make a full like stealth DLC when like all the other games there maybe have been bits where you could hide from enemies, but it was all about like
It's like straight action.
taking cover.
For the
Yeah.
whole franchise, I feel like you've never really had to rely on any kind of stealth capabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really.
So
It's
a random thing to throw in for the very.
It's
end.
two things really. At the beginning, they play up how she, like if you remember from the first game, like they pretty much force her to kill, what's her name? I forget the character's name, but they force her to kill one of the other characters so she doesn't murder the kid there. And they play that up in this. They say, well, Elizabeth doesn't, like, she's not like that. She doesn't want to just kill people that are in the way. So they give you the option though. So you do have the regular, you can use the traditional guns like when you're playing as Booker.
Okay.
But this one is more, you have the option to stealth, and oh yeah, she takes way more damage. That's the other thing.
Well, yeah.
So
okay. Yeah.
So
that
if
makes
you
sense.
try and take the dudes on and like they start hitting you, you're gonna get in trouble fast.
Okay.
Right.
That kind of reminds me of like when you played Ellie's section of The Last of Us. She took way more damage than Joel did.
Yep. All right, so there you go, guys. That's Bioshock Infinite Barrel at Sea Episode 2. All right, well, that's it for this week's episode, guys. Guys, check out our website at GameSlean TV. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at GameSlean. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Any other words? What are we doing next week?
What day is it?
Metal Gear.
We're going to do Metal Gear next week? I don't know. We'll try. Metal Gear next week, possibly.
Tune in
guys.
and find out.
Never know.
Snake.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Keep playing. We'll see you next time on GameSlean.
Call me
No
Deep
say
Throat.
we all.
Seriously.